Hi, I'm Kelly Rowlett-Presgrave. I'm president and CEO of Work With Your Hands, and we are so proud to be a sponsor of Power Women of the Trades podcast. You can reach us at workwithyourhands.com. Kelly at workwithyourhands.com is my email.
At Relentless Digital, we believe in breaking barriers and driving innovation. That's why we are extremely proud to sponsor the Power Women of the Trades podcast, supporting the voices and success of women in the home service industry. Together, we're creating a future where talent shines, regardless of gender, and diversity thrives. Join our journey at relentless-digital.com and always be relentless in your pursuit of excellence.
This episode of Power Women of the Trades is also brought to you by Forrest Perry of Forrest Perry Digital Marketing. Want to generate more leads for your service business? Trust his team to deliver quality new customer leads and protect your brand online. Check out perrymarketing.com today.
Welcome to Power Women of the Trades podcast. This show is all about breaking barriers and changing the game. Our guests will feature some of today's most successful female entrepreneurs and other advocates of our industry as well. Because if there's one thing we know for sure, female-led entrepreneurship drives change on multiple levels. We want to empower women in the trade industry like you so you can maximize your potential, stay balanced, achieve long-term success, and claim ownership over your life. Let's get started.
So, hey, Tasha, I'm so excited to have you on the show today. I have been reading a little bit about you, and it's fun to have different people on the show. Like, we've had a lot of heat and air and plumbing and electric, and we have not had a lot of people with with garage doors. And so I'm really excited. Is it garage doors?
Yeah, we do all types of commercial doors. So
do you do
including garage doors?
Okay, so do you do interior doors too?
Yes.
Okay, so I actually have a friend locally. That's what he does. And I would call him randomly and be like, can I get a door? And he's like, listen, I just do commercial doors. I was like, okay, I didn't know. So that's a whole different realm. So cool. So tell us, like, you started in Phoenix?
Yeah, so our main location is Phoenix. The business has been around since 99. So I took over about 8 years ago and became the owner 2 years ago. So main operation is in Phoenix, but we also have a location in North Carolina. So I live in North Carolina.
Awesome. How'd you get into this?
This was my parents' business that I acquired. Yeah, long story.
Well, I mean, that makes sense, like you with the family and the stuff like that. So you've been around it for a while, and then you still have a Phoenix location?
Yes. Yeah. I'm actually in Phoenix right now. I travel back and forth a lot.
Well, that sounds exciting. I'm sure.
Not in the summer.
Oh, no. So funny story about Phoenix specifically. I've been to Phoenix twice. Both times it was cold. And I was like, I feel like I've been lied to. We went to the Women of HVAC event there a couple years ago, and it just happened to hit. And the guy had our Uber driver said, this is actually like the coldest I've ever experienced it in Phoenix. And I've been here for a long time. And I was like, naturally, because I'm here, and I didn't pack anything that would work for that. So what made you move to North Carolina just to open a second location, or?
Yeah. I mean, I've always wanted to live somewhere else, North Carolina. And then I don't know, one day I just decided, and it was just kind of one of those things. I was like, I don't know if this is spiritual or if this is whatever, but I'm going to follow it. And within 6 months, we sold our house and moved across the country and opened another location. So
this reminds me of a story with Josh at Relentless, and he like lived in Wisconsin, and one day he was like, we're moving to Phoenix. And I was like, what? So anyways, I wish I had the guts to do something like that. I've been in Oklahoma my entire life, and I'll be here forever. But then when I travel places, I'm always like, I could live here, but I would want like all of my things from like my Oklahoma things, like my people, all my, I don't know if I could ever.
Luckily, my family's following me, right? So my sister moved out there. My brother just moved last week. My mom's going to buy a house. So everyone's kind of just following. So it works out. Still
hey, that's perfect then. That's perfect. Yeah. All of my family would be like, we're staying here. See ya when you get out of your midlife crisis, because that's probably what they think. But like I said, none of us, like, I think that's awesome that you can do that. So tell us a little bit about your company. So more about the doors, I guess. I'm intrigued because we see a lot of garage doors, and I totally had that pegged wrong. So what do you do?
Yeah. So in Phoenix, we do more than we do in North Carolina. So in Phoenix, we do all types of commercial doors. So that does include like the garage doors, the roll-up doors on warehouses, the dock equipment that goes with those those dock doors. But then we also do the entry doors, the storefront. We have automatic door techs. So they do those like sliding doors when you go into like a gas station or Target or whatever. So pretty much all types of commercial doors. We do service and new install and new construction.
That's awesome. So what, like being the CEO of the company, what does your day-to-day look like?
It's
That's
changed a lot over the years. I feel like with every
all the time, and you're just like everything.
Yeah. I've been trying to keep myself, out of the business and focusing on, just my direct reports, my general manager, and, looking at the stats every day. But I do find myself in the business more than I should be, like in the day-to-day. But really just focusing on growth and working directly with those managers a lot, like the call center manager, the general manager, sales managers. I try to work with them every day to make sure they're hitting their goals.
Mm-hmm. So do you have like installers and technicians, or kind of the same?
So we try to separate service and install. So we have a service division and then we have an install division.
Okay. So what is like, the most significant milestone you feel like of your career so far? Trick questions.
Yeah. I mean, I guess just successfully opening this other location, that was something new for me. I acquired the business in Phoenix, and granted, we changed everything, rebranded, grew from 4 employees to like 30, but I still felt like I had like that good foundation. So just going to the new location and completely greenfield, building new customers, new vendors, that was the most exciting thing for me to see that it worked and I could do it by myself.
Yeah. How is that? So we previously did new construction and it scares me. I don't want anything to do with it anymore. But I know there's a place for it, right? Like businesses still do this every single day. It just wasn't the right fit for us. So are there still struggles there? I felt like one of our biggest struggles was waiting for payments, right? Being the bank for people. And how do you combat that with that being like your primary, you're always waiting, right?
Yeah, I'd say, just commercial in general, the payment terms are different. We try to vet all of our customers. We won't just take on anybody. So if they're not approved by I have a girl that just does, AR and credit setup and stuff like that. If they're not approved, we won't work with them. So we try to vet people before we start with them. But for new construction, we try to get on terms where they send us payment upfront for at least enough to cover the material. But yeah, you're always kind of waiting for payment. We try to work with customers that we've already vetted to combat that a little bit.
Right. I got you. Do you, with, having 2 locations, on 2 different sides of the country, is that a goal? Like, do you see yourself opening multiple locations?
Yeah, that is the goal. I really would like to keep opening locations, hopefully a little bit closer instead of across the country. That was maybe not the best move, but like our next location, probably like Tucson or Raleigh or somewhere driving distance to one of our other locations.
Yeah.
And my goal is to, grow my internal team to where they can become maybe the leader of their own division one day. So yes, I want to keep expanding.
That's awesome. Yeah. I think it's super ballsy to be able to do it like on 2 different sides of the country and then successful. We have a location that's 45 minutes from us. And that in itself it's like 45 minutes from us, and so that in itself is a whole thing. So I could not imagine. And then, traveling back and forth. I have another friend that has an HVAC company and they're both plumbing, and their locations are a couple hours away. And I always am like, that takes a lot of commitment. And so I commend you for being able to do that and manage that, because your team, it's like, when your office and your team's there and they see you there, the consistency. And then when you're not there, which you shouldn't have to be there every single day, but I always wonder what's happening.
Yeah, definitely. You can see things change or, demeanor changes when you show up, which is why I'm here this week, actually. But, leaving, it showed me a lot of holes in the business. Like I had the wrong people in place to begin with. So when I moved across the country, everything fell apart because I was holding it together. So it's been a lot of putting different people in places, putting leaders in places, because I didn't know that I was the one doing everything until I left and I wasn't doing it anymore. So,
I think that's interesting because Oscar, my husband, and I were talking one day and he said, honestly, and we were specifically at that point talking about private equity in the space and all those things, but he was like, it takes the emotion out of it for a lot of people. And I agree with that. But one thing he said was, because like if me and you, we owned a company in Phoenix Phoenix, for example, it would be a lot easier to fire someone because we wouldn't have that emotional connection to them, or we wouldn't have those things, right?
Yeah.
And that made me like think how much emotional investment is in our day to day that we don't maybe always give credit to. And the pieces that we, like you said, that we pick up, that why are we picking up these pieces, or why are we doing that? Because that really is someone else's job to do that. And you, I'm sure, really get an eye opening insight to that whenever you are not there. And unfortunately, like you said, falls apart. But I think that probably gives you the opportunity to build it back better.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, we wouldn't have been able to grow. Like even the year I moved away, it's been about a year and a half now. That first year, you know, the Phoenix location doubled in revenue. So it's like, I wasn't necessarily helping. It's just the processes that I didn't know were not in place. I mean, they can definitely operate without me. So it's nice.
That's amazing.
Nice
That's so insightful, though. I really think that. I really think it is, because I think about, again, in my own business, where I had someone message me the other day and she said, "You've grown a lot as a leader, because previously when we didn't hit revenue or something was going on, everybody knew in the office. And now not so much." But the truth, I have grown as a leader and I've really worked on that. But one of the pieces is I've really let our managers be in charge of those things. And I'm not micromanaging all the details. And I know I was doing that before. And now that I'm not focused on those, we're actually doing better, because sometimes we hold ourselves back, not realizing it, because we're trying to keep control of everything.
Most businesses' online presence is boring. And by being boring, they're losing out on potential sales and customers. Being interesting and exciting is what draws customers in and gets them to buy from you. But it's hard to be interesting online when you're focused on running your business and taking care of your customers. It doesn't have to be this way. We have the key to unlocking the solution to your problem. Key Heart Marketing can help take your business from boring to brilliant on social media. We can vouch for them. They run our podcast socials. If you want to have a strong social media presence that allows customers to know, like, and trust you, connect with Key Heart Marketing at keyheartmarketing.com.
Yeah, I get it. I've been accused of being a micromanager, but I'm like, you know what? It just means that I care. I could just be on a beach somewhere, but instead I'm in your business looking at the numbers. So
we definitely don't have the
step away from it, though, overall.
Yeah, we definitely don't want to micromanage. That's not the goal. Like, because we've been there and we've been on the other side of that, and that's not. But there is, we carry a heavy burden for these companies, and we want to make sure they're going right. And unless you've been on the other side of it, it's hard to understand all of that. But what are, everyone's always talking about the economy. What challenges have you been facing in the commercial door space? Maybe with the economy or inventory?
Yeah, I mean, overall, we haven't really seen a slowdown. And I think it's just because we're kind of changing marketing strategies and doing things that we didn't do before. So for maybe all the slowdown of the economy, we're still getting new customers in through different avenues. During COVID, we, like everybody else, we had a huge supply chain issue and not able to order parts and all that. But that's came back. And right now, we're just staying steady, making sure we're providing good customer service so we get those referrals and kind of that organic traffic. But I mean, I don't know how it's been for residential, but for commercial, it really hasn't been too bad this year.
So I think about, we're all guilty of hearing what we're fed, right? Like the news and we're in an election year and yada, 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 right? Do you, especially doing new construction, do you feel like new construction is still popping off like it's been? Or
no, that part has slowed down, or we even have some contracts that they're like, oh, we're going to wait to start this till after the election. Like people are holding off on big projects like that. So we've just been leaning into, more of the maintenance stuff, working with our commercial property managers, facility managers, because the maintenance is still always going to be there. So we're just going a different route, but there is still new construction, but that has slowed down. Yeah.
You definitely have to be willing to adapt and move your chess pieces, right? Like through certain times of, okay, maybe this one's not going to happen as we expected. So let's move around, and being able to rely on service and maintenance is a huge help for sure. So how do you motivate and engage your team locally and from a distance?
Yeah. So I'd say what's helped a lot with engagement, especially since I don't see everybody every day, is I still jump into like a morning huddle, and everybody in the company joins a huddle in both locations. So it's just a quick, recap of the day before, celebrations, any anniversaries, birthdays, and then we talk about the goals for the day. And then if there's any like recalls or something that we need to discuss as a team, we do it at that time. So that helps engagement because that gives everyone the opportunity to see me, to see all leadership, and bring up anything that they may need to. So that's been helpful. It also makes sure everybody's on time because if you walk in late to the huddle, everybody knows. So that's also helped our attendance policy. But yeah, I'd say paying them well, performance pay is how we pay almost every single position in the company. So they perform because they're incentivized to. So that's a big thing.
Yeah. We do a huddle. I like that though. We do a huddle daily, but mostly we do 3 huddles a day, but we do them with managers and we're tracking like daily performance, but we're looking again at residential and our day can change very quickly. And so I like the huddle with the teams. I wonder if that's something that could be implemented in our own company. I'm like, Kaylee's here. She works for quality, but she also helps with the podcast. And so she's on the other side and she's like, that's a good idea. Because our teams don't always dispatch from our office. They dispatch from their houses 3 days a week. And so they're only here 2 days a week. And there can be a little bit of a disconnect sometimes. So
yeah. So if they can't join, then we have a Google Meet link and they just hop on their phone so they can still hear it. So sometimes people will still dispatch from their house, but they still need to be on the huddle. So
yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. We use Microsoft Teams and I'm like, yeah, they could just like everyone always like accidentally calls the whole company anyway. So I'll have my phone ringing and it's like a conference call of like the whole company. I'm like, who did that? So, but I think that's a good idea especially with those guys that are not, coming to the office every single day. And one of the things that I hated for a long time of not dispatching from the shop and dispatching from home, I hated that they didn't get that morning coffee and that morning time. Like, a lot of people complain about having to pay for that, but that's really important to a good culture. Now, it can also be really bad if your culture is bad and they're just sitting around talking crap, but I was worried about that. And so I don't know why we hadn't thought about that, but that's a good idea to have that teams and jump on and like set out those goals for the day.
Yeah. And we talk about like any memberships or 5-star reviews, we shout out, people have the opportunity to shout out each other. So it's good to kind of build up the people that are working hard and, gives out everyone the opportunity for celebration.
That's awesome. So what do you enjoy the most about your role?
I mean, for me, I think it's just the opportunity to do whatever I want with this company, right? Like I could open a new division tomorrow and I could, start a new apprenticeship program tomorrow. Just the opportunity to be able to turn this into whatever I want, because that's how my mind operates. I'm like entrepreneurship, wanting to start 100 things at once. I'm trying to stay focused, and now I'm just focused on this company. So just being able to bring in new people, I love watching them grow. We really try to bring in younger people back into the trade. So growing them up from, just out of high school to making good money as a tech, like that's the most exciting thing for me.
I can totally relate to that too, by the way, because sometimes I have to stay in my lane. We just built a fence in our backyard. I didn't build it. My husband did. And I was like, we should start a fencing company. And he's like, no, stay in your lane. As entrepreneurs, I think our brains are just always like, the reason why we did our fence was because I didn't like the experience of the quotes of what I was getting. And I was just like, no. So like, what if we implemented what we're doing to this and this and this? And then my brain starts going like squirreling out. And sometimes we just got to like home back in and be like, slow your roll, dude.
It's hard. Yeah. For years I did that too. I would like open companies and like, I'm finally focused on this company, and now just watching it grow, I was like, oh, should have done that years ago. But
yeah,
you learn.
I had a hair salon at one point. 10 out of 10, don't recommend unless you have hair experience. I didn't have hair experience. So, it's like, I was actually talking to someone the other day. I was like, they're like, why didn't that work? And I'm like, because I didn't know how to do hair. So if someone didn't like it, I didn't know why, and I can relate to these things. Right. And so sometimes it's important to just remember your place and whatever.
Yeah.
Stay in the lane. I get it. So, where do you see your company in the next 5 years?
By next year, I would like to start opening other locations now that we are kind of operationally sound in both the locations we're in. We just purchased a new building in Phoenix, so we're working on moving everybody there. So that'll help that operation expand more. In 5 years, I hope to be like between 50 and 60 million annually. So really just working on growth, and who knows, everything could change in 5 years, but that's my answer right now.
Yeah, I know. I always like it because it'll be a good place of reflection for you to come back in 5 years and either see if A, did it go that way, or B, what did I change to be where we're at now? Because I know today, Cassie 5 years ago was not the same person that I am now, and neither was the company. And there's so much that can happen. And sometimes I'm like, if the world is still here in 5 years, so who knows, right?
I mean, really.
You're like, who actually knows? Well, Tasha, it was really nice to meet you and have you on the show. I think that you an awesome gig going out there for you in both locations. I'm proud of you for doing the 2 locations on different sides. I super commend you for that because I can't even imagine. And I can't wait to see you grow in 5 years. So hopefully we can catch up sometime, industry event or something. We'll have to get in touch and see if you're at any of the events that are coming up. We're about to
love to.
What I call conference season, I guess, in September, October. So we'll have to see if we can catch up. But it's nice to meet you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
All right.
This has been Power Women of the Trades. Like what you hear so far? Leave us a review in Apple. And make sure to listen to our other episodes wherever you enjoy listening to your podcasts. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you on the next one.